Good afternoon, Flosstube. It's Pam, stitching between the lines. Today is Saturday, November 1st, 2025, and this is Flosstube number 155. Episode 155 of my YouTube video, mostly about cross stitch, with a tiny bit of reading at the end. So, in case you're new here, don't know how we do things. It's Saturday afternoon and my husband is outside weeding, so I can see him, and I'm having a bad hair day, so hopefully I'm not all twitchy and doing weird things, but my pile is big. So yeah, I thought maybe I couldn't let another minute go by where I didn't do a video to summarize October, lead into November, the usual routine. So let's get started. We're going to start right here with this because it shows. So I did some FFOing. I finished this, I'm so embarrassed to say, in like 2021, which is the Prairie Schooler out of their harvest time. It's the bottom one. I've done the top one, did the bottom one. I like the pumpkins in the middle, but I don't like the witch, so probably I won't do that one. But you know, Prairie Schooler is an all-time favorite. So this had been sitting on this one since 2021, and I remember when I showed it way back then, I talked about how I thought maybe it would be a cool drum, but when I stitched it, I know it's not perfection. I tried really hard. When I stitched it, I just stitched it according to the pattern, which included the border that went down each side, and the leaf had 2 center ribs on it. And had I been thinking about it, I would have adjusted what I stitched so that they matched up more accurately. As it is, I kind of pulled it in as best as I could. And I feel like it's exaggerated what you can see. Absolutely. When this in real life, there is not such a pronounced white line down there. But there are 2 ribs. But still, it's, you know, it came out pretty well, and it is hefty, it is perfect, it is stuffed to the gills. I used a combination of the ground walnut shells on the bottom and a plastic pellet filling. I don't have it with me to show you. I got it on Amazon. It comes in a bag that's about yay big. Maybe there's a pound in there. Just plastic pellets. Probably you could search it on Amazon. It gave the bottom a really nice heft. And then the rest is the cluster stuff that I like to stuff with. I just had a brown that I liked. The top, okay, so I know I wouldn't win any prizes with my cording. I make good cording, so I'm not dissing my cording. I did not anticipate putting cording on, so I didn't construct it accordingly, but once it was done, I was like, oh, I need a little something. And so I know I would put Helen D to shame by not having left like a little opening to shove in the ends. So I just kind of had to shove it in there. And then I did order a couple felted pumpkins to put on the top. They aren't here yet. So I wasn't anticipating needing to do that either. Sorry. Again, husband's down there. So I love it though. I love it. I can see it in the middle, like in a, you know, vignette on the dining room table or something, a buffet or something like that. So I'm so happy the way it came out. I had to unstitch though, where I always put my initials in the year I finished it down here because part of it would have been buried. And of course, who's taken the time, didn't restitch it, but it was 2021. Whew, baby, that was a while ago. But love it, absolutely love it. I have most often seen people just do the turkey. So anyway, last year I started out, like after Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving, I thought to myself, I need some more Thanksgiving things. So not really what inspired me to finish this, but maybe kind of a little bit. And also it wasn't making itself into anything in the bin. So I'm trying to do a few finishing things. You know, that's not my go-to. I don't think I'm bad at it. I'm unpracticed at it. But anyway, it's sitting down here on the floor. And in that same vein of thinking I needed some more Thanksgiving things, I started something. Yes, I started something just on a whim one day. And I bought last year when I was buying Thanksgiving themed things. Turkey Talk by Heartstring Samplery. This little stocking. Stockings are my absolute favorite shape. It's an ornament or a stocking or a quilted stocking or a cross-stitch stocking or however there's a stocking. I love a stocking. So I just one day pulled out the threads and started it on a piece of I don't know what. If we need to, at some point I'll have that information. Got the middle turkey done, and this is the start of the heel that comes around here. I didn't do anything. I didn't iron a thing, didn't put anything on a board. It's a Saturday afternoon. I almost wasn't sure I was going to manage to make this. So finding all the pieces and parts was like, I felt like I had already won. So I didn't put anything on boards, but it's okay. You guys don't mind. So that was a start, a Thanksgiving themed start. And then, oh, not a start. We're going to talk about what I worked on in the month of October. Looking through my collection here. Oh, I had another FFO. Here. Let's do the FFOs. Sort of keep them together. So last year at Halloween time, Home on the Ridge. I hope you guys are watching Home on the Ridge. I will attempt to link it below. She is just so creative. Her creativity, she'll see a pattern. She's like, oh, I love this pattern, but I right away knew I wanted to do something different. So she does something different. So she showed out of the Teresa Koga Hello Halloween book, she showed something she made. I have this all kitted up. I like it so much that I have ordered, not on purpose, 2 silk floss conversions. One from Color and Cotton, so not silk, but they, that they've put together as a packet. And then one from Vicki Clayton. So I have some choices as to what to do when I stitch it finally, and I am so close. I feel like I am so close to starting this. I even screenshot and took a picture of Brenda Handwork Maniacs, the way they divided it, where they, I think, spent 2 years doing it, and then did a cat each month, just, however they divided it, so they didn't feel like they were stitching endless cats. Yeah, I think theirs is a 2-year commitment when they did it as a sal. I don't know what I would do, except I have been so close to starting this more than once, but I haven't, because first of all, for the last few months, I've been working on the same thing that, I don't remember her name, Home on the Ridge, Maggie, Home on the Ridge, on Flosstube. I did the thing that she did. Is that awesome? So I picked the cats out of, there's one line of cats. And that works out to, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 5 cats in the lineup. So the way I 100% copied her, 100%, it's a copy. Copycat. The middle one is all by himself. Only stitched one of those, and the other ones are stitched in a pair and then placed in a tic-tac-toe board from Hobby Lobby. And I painted it orange, and then I painted it black, and then I gave it a little sandpaper, and I'll admit I was going to crackle it, and I did it wrong, so here it is, black and orange. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. So I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to hold this way up close to the camera so you can see. I bought mine, I think, online right away last year. And then my sister was visiting, and I showed her what Maggie had made, and she immediately wanted to go to Hobby Lobby, where she bought one of these, and I bought another one because I have another plan that maybe in the rest of my lifetime I will come out with. But there's the number, so I'll hold it up there for a minute so you can see. Gorgeous, right? It is so fun. I did not necessarily paint much of the inside of each box. I finished each of these on a piece of cardstock. I didn't use foam core board. And there's a piece of batting down, and then I stretched this over it, and then I had my husband cut little cubes of wood. They were about 1.5 by 1.5, 2 by 2, about 1/4 of an inch thick, and they're glued down in the middle of each of these, and then this thing is glued right on top of it because it just needed that little like boost up out of being sunk down into the board. Delighted. It is so cute. I think Helen D maybe showed doing something similar with the smaller tic-tac-toe board that came from Hobby Lobby. So I have one of those too, just waiting. I'm not sure. I have vague memories of which pattern it was. It was, I think, an under the sea theme or a beach themed, I think. So anyway, so 2 FFOs, which is like 2 more than average for me. So yay me. And then, okay, so the rest is whips and plans. I thought I brought my book up, a book I was going to talk about up here. Oh yeah, there it is over there. Hang on half a second. We're talking about books later, but I don't want to forget. Now I have to step over the piles as I move them off of my flat surface up here onto the floor. Okay, so back to the matter at hand where we talk about what I worked on. So this is just a whip from a previous month. I had started Blueberry Ridge's Sampler Seasons Winter. So pretty, so pretty. Using, I believe it's the Called For Weeks Dye Works Shepherd's Blue. I have like 4 skeins in there, so they're kind of getting a little gnarly. But here's the pattern. It's so pretty. And I'm doing it on a piece of, let me look. I almost always keep the fabric in here, or some kind of labeling of the fabric. Oh. Nope, not here. You'll just have to go with it. It's a little bit of a blue, ever so slightly blue. So this month, the only thing I did was I had the ABC done. I did the rest of the alphabet. That is what I did. I always start out with like, I sit down and I work on it. I'm like, oh, this is going great. Every time I sit down to stitch, I'll do like 3 letters. So a week goes by, I haven't done any letters. I'm like, okay, I can do 5. I can do 5 a day. No. Until I'm finally, like yesterday, finishing all the rest. Because that's how it goes. Best laid plans, yada yada. Next up, oh, this is a plan. This is a not being done yet. Oh, temperature birds. Whew, baby. I didn't do yesterday's. That's the only thing I haven't done yet. There was not time today. There's too many things happening. So let me get it out. I am doing the temperature bird chart. Actually came out last year. I changed the date to 2025. It's for my town. I do the high and the low every day. So the whole pattern is basically the same as the pattern. You can find it online, and its name is Temperature Birds by Christie's Corner, and Christie is with a K and all I's, like it ends in an I. Christie's Corner, I bought it on Etsy. It's a PDF download. I don't know that this was the temperature chart. Sorry, something fell out of here. The temperature chart that came with it, because I wanted where some of them, when you get the higher temperatures, lower temperatures, I don't know, was it the lower ones? I tried to get where they had the most lower temperatures. They didn't just cover a huge range, because where I live, I'm going to have a lot of low temperatures and not a lot of the over 100 temperatures. So anyway, so I can't say exactly where this came from. I'm stitching it out a piece of Picture This Plus Arial 28 count. And except for the last day of October, I've caught up. My birds look like parakeets because I'm doing the high and the low. I divide the stitches in half vertically, basically, and I stitch them. And then there's other little things that are on there, like this little bit of a flowery vine and hot air balloon. And so in October, some of you might be smarter than me. In October, at the end of the October line, this would have been yesterday's, was this bat. Well, I'm sure if you've been around, you know bats are not something I stitch if I can help it. Bats and mice, don't do them. So I left the bat off and I kept my eye out for a while and found this little pumpkin. So I put the pumpkin in. Now, down there where the bat was supposed to be, I did put the hairy spider in there. He's in there. I'm coming along, I don't know, I'm back here somewhere, and I'm like counting ahead how many birds I have left. I'm like, oh, something's wrong. Well, the bat was bird number 31, which meant my pumpkin took the place of a bird. So I didn't pick out my pumpkin yet. I thought about what to do, and I decided to find a bird that I could fit up there on top of the pumpkin. Now this is the bird I have not done any color yet. So he's got his gray body, his beak, and 1 foot. And once I get his colors in for yesterday, he'll look better. So anyway, that was my concession to the bat, not being a bat. I've started November a little bit. I've started December a little bit, and not going to be sad when this is over. And I have begged you guys before to tell me to not allow me to sign up for something or commit to something that's like a whole year long. I mean, for the last year and a half, I did 2 Carolyn Mannings with monthly deadlines. And so yeah, that was, and then I was doing the temperature birds in 2025. But yet in my mind, I'm thinking about how to do the Teresa Koga Halloween piece that I did the cats out of. So I don't know. Maybe that's not nearly as bad as the temperature birds, which just drags on all month long. It just drags on. It isn't like, let me sit down and just do this month's stitching. No, it doesn't work that way. Unless you're doing it on the last day of the month and technically the first day of the following month, so you can get the last bird. So I don't know what we'll do. I really like the Carolyn Mannings done in that way though, where I just had a goal of 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever stitches a month with the hopes of getting it done in a year. Both of them I got done sooner than that, but there was quite like 6 months of overlap easily or something of those two. So still on the fence about what I'm going to do with the Teresa Koga. I don't have to commit to any plans at this point. I can make all the plans I want. Nobody's gonna make me do them. So anyway, we'll talk plans later. I'm feeling a little afraid like I lost something. Nope. Where did it go? The Whipco. I'm looking for Whipco October. I found the missing piece, Eliza's Birds, which was a Whipco call for October, was a start and a finish and an FFO. So it's just sitting on the floor. My iPad is making that shadow. I had bought this frame from Amazon. Somebody had showed on a Flosstube video that they had purchased a frame closer to what it looked like on the pattern. And I thought, ooh, I'm going to Amazon. And when I found this curved one, it was very similar with the gold, the green. I liked the curve of it. So the only change I made was I left off the words, Eliza's Birds. It's done on a piece of, I believe it's vintage country mocha. Surprise, surprise. I believe 36 count. And one cotton thread over 2 linen threads. And I did the called for colors, which was kind of funny as I was working on it. I felt like the brown in the leaves was too brown and the green, one of the greens was too bright. But then I just kept right on going. And when it was done, I just liked the overall effect. And when I put it in the frame, even better. So the frame is not a perfect fit, but I am very, very happy with how it turned out. And I think it'll be so cute on display. So anyway, one of the Whipco ones was number 6. And I had a bag that I was putting everything in it that I would need for today's video. It had a lot of stuff in it, but not my planner. And apparently not the piece, the other Whipco piece. So one of my Whipco pieces was the ice skating party, which was a Mary Carey's sewing cabin pattern. And the first time I ever saw it, I just fell in love with it. I found the pattern eventually on Stash Unload, and I, of course, love it or not, doesn't make me just get up and stitch it. So I put it in the Whipco, and when it was called, I was so happy. It's done on a piece of linen that's really kind of light, but I think it's 32 count, and I did it 1/2. It's so cute. I changed his cheek color, and I changed it a couple times to try to figure out what would work. In real life, in person, the cheeks don't look quite so clownish. The color they called for was unbelievable. I did her cheeks the same color, and hers maybe don't look quite so bad. But anyway, I did change that color. So, Mary Carey sewing cabin, the ice skating party, which I love. I just love the primitive look of this. So that was my first Whipco call and finish. My focus piece for the month of October. Anyway, let's get back on where I'm supposed to be. It's in this project bag that is not big enough, but probably was what was available. It was, this is one of those postcards from, y'all know, monthly. Can see the name, can't see the name. Anyway, there's a shop in Florida that had done it and put it with when the Florida fabric came out. Like each state had a fabric that was coming out, and the colors were so nice. She had changed the words to Florida in the middle, but I didn't want that. So I put August in there. So anyway, it's a project bag. That's cute. I like it. Something, I don't want to do that with all my little small pieces that I don't know what to do with, because it gets handled, so it's a little bit hard on them. I'm looking for my pattern picture piece. This pattern is so many pages. Huh. Let me just flip through the pages. There it is. It's Madame LaFay's Halloween Night. Oh, I just love every one of the things that she does, but man, are they harder than you think. Hard, hard, hard. So I didn't get as far as I had wanted because the intensity just wore me out. In fact, there's a needle in here, or not. There's a thread in here that I thought had a needle with it. Oh, there's a needle, okay. I'm not really looking for a needle. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Sorry. So it's at least half done. The halfway mark comes somewhere up here. Cuts down. I mean, there's like 5 colors in the border alone. And this whole like cloudy look is so hard. It is really hard to do. There's a ton of colors in it. It's exhausting. But it's coming along. It's definitely coming along. I didn't get as much done as I hoped, or maybe got more done because I kept skipping around. So I did more border than I thought. I really kind of thought I would only get the moon section done, and then that was kind of early on. Well, I really made some progress on the moon, but then it doesn't matter how much you stitch it. You all of a sudden discover there's a symbol that you use somewhere else that kind of runs through it. It just goes on and on and on. So anyway, I have all the way through the W here, the W-E-E-N stitched, and then not all the blue grays that are happening behind it. I was starting on La at the LA. I have a tiny little bit of the circle, and that's it. I have the border all the way up to where the witch starts. I'm missing, like, I haven't done this piece of candy, so that's about where the halfway mark is. So it's going away a little bit for a little bit. I don't want to really talk about next year's plans, but maybe I can finish it next year. I think 2 more, it being a focus piece for 2 months would would do it. And up to this point, it's been a focus piece only twice, once in 2025 and once in 2024. So let's put that away so we don't lose any of its parts. So that was everything I stitched on in November. Let's talk about, October. Let's talk about when I keep you on the ironing board. It's really nice because I can raise it up and lower it down, but it's a little more wobbly than you'd like. All right, let's talk about November. So that's what I did in October. Here's what's coming for November. My focus piece for November is Land That I Love. This was a focus piece in July. It's been a focus piece a couple times prior. I am almost positive I'm going to finish it. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. After doing everything that I did when I worked on it in July, I just could not get myself motivated to get that house done or very far underway. But I got the border done. There was a little odds and ends from this corner on down to work on. This part through here was done real early on. I believe this was all done. This was not all done. Oh, in fact, it's still not done. That's that weeping willow tree. I've got the pot with the plant, whatever it is, on the roof for this house to do, which really looks little in comparison, and I don't think I've touched the flag yet. Nope. And here's where things are going to change up a little bit. I don't like the words right here. I don't like them in general, but I don't like that they use a heart in there for Land That I Love. So I am going to do something different. To be determined. To be determined, but in this bag is this book. To try to come up with a motif or two, something that maybe I would put up there on the roof. This is a fabulous little book of sampler motifs. So there's just endless, as you can see, simply motifs. They don't necessarily go together, go with anything else, go with anything, anywhere. I will look through here and see what I can come up with to put on that roof. I see in my haste to do these things that I did put the chimney right smack in the middle, which is where it's called for, whereas this one the chimneys are kind of spread out, which gives you a big surface area to do something. I'm not sure what colors, maybe I could pick that out, but I'm less inclined to think so. This is done on a piece of 20 count vintage country mocha, 1/1, sorry, 20 count, with the Vicki Clayton conversion. So that's my focus for November. With a lot of confidence, I will finish that. When I work on my dividing line of timing for everything is I do the 2 WIPCO calls, one however much I work on it in the first half of the month and the other one in the second half of the month. And then my focus piece is my everyday stitching, stitch generally in the evening. It depends on how my stitching time plays out. So one of the WIPCO calls for November was, or is, the village tree. Sorry, my bag is very unbalanced and it keeps sliding off my lap. The village tree, which is a Stony Creek. I have all their seasonal ones, which I have not done. Love this one though, because it's Christmas, town square, and it's great that it got called in November. Very seasonal appropriate. And this is another very seasonally appropriate call, was Plum Street Samplers Olga's Autumn Stocking. This is a lot of pages in there. I've seen people do this, and it is big. There's a lot of stitching. So I've got a very pretty piece of Cedar River. This will be the first Cedar River I've actually ever stitched on, although I purchased a few. Tephra, 28 count. I didn't do anything to map out if this, this is big enough, I'm sure. But I must have had to order a few flosses when I put this all together. Colors when I sorted the first time around, and colors that I purchased and just stuck in the bag. How can you not love those fall colors? And you see all those? And here is my Tephra, which is very earth tone with a tiny bit of green. This is liable to be the first half of the month start because it's so gorgeous. Yeah, I think it's also in a bag that's not really big enough. We'll see. Got to get it out and figure out the center and that kind of jazz, so then it's ready to pick up. I could have, should have maybe done that with everything that's with go unstarted, because that's sometimes what stops me from just picking up and starting something on a whim, is the difficulty in, or the not wanting to be unfocused when I figure out what the center is. So then I just pick up something different to work on. And then I have a wee little plan for a start. I almost started this the other day, and then I went back and I picked up, no, I did show you the other part. The other one I'm thinking of. It was the Blueberry Ridge Winter Sampler. That's the other one I was working on. Just on a whim, I picked it up. But I love anything that's sort of a Christmassy mid-century modern look. And this one, Dear Santa, Stitching with the Housewives. They're doing it as a sal, but I'm not, you know. I might follow the Facebook page, but I don't do anything, post anything. I have a piece of Helix from Picture This Plus. I cut it. Why didn't I run it through the serger? I do not know. Usually when I cut, even before I put a piece away, I run it through the serger. Bummer me. Anyway, I think that's what I'm going to use. I think that's going to be perfect. Perfect. A lot of people angst over the black. I had a piece of black, pulled it out, and I hated it. It was, I don't know. It wasn't anything fabulous. It wasn't anything over dyed. It was just, I think it was even a linen. I could tell it was not going to be fun to work on. So cute. So I changed the red just for kicks. Schoolhouse red. Sorry, I dropped it. I don't know. I just liked the way it looked on there, which I think probably pulls it out of that sort of mid-century modern look. They used ribbon red, which might be a little bit brighter. I don't know. Once I pull two strands off of here, it might not be quite so bright. Partly, though, I think maybe it just looked better on this gray blue color. So that could very well get started any day now because it's really cute. So that's what I've got going on in the stitching world. I didn't start the Christmas stocking yet. I've got over a year, which is like just enough time to make me not start it in any big rush. Because there's another grandbaby coming this Christmas time. So there was no way there was going to be a stocking by this Christmas. Parents were perfectly fine with that. Did not have a problem with that. Could be the baby will be born after Christmas, and then it really will have it by its first Christmas. So what have I been reading? Reading has been a fun month for October. October has been a fun reading month, I should say. I watch a couple different book Flosstubes, and one of them is a couple ladies that own a store, and one of them talked about this book. It's brand new, out, relatively brand new. I'm trying to get just the picture. Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. and it's a little bit dark, but it's not so dark, creepy dark. I mean, but yeah, that hammer behind her back does represent something. It's an older lady in her 70s. I know, don't call anybody older, younger, whatever. But for as far as serial killers go, she had committed some murders in her younger days and was found. It's not that she was. Let me think back. There was an investigator who made quite a stink, and it really sort of ruined her life. And she was. It was found to be on her. You know, his thinking she was guilty was found to be unfounded, right? So she was paid a lot of money, and she and her son could leave the area. She got a new name, could start a new life, and she lived her whole new life. And then that history came back to visit, and all of a sudden she's maybe needing to kill a few people. So at the same time that she's thinking about what to do about living in this old house all by herself and playing bingo with the girls at the church, and you know, she's she's got her serial killer ways back. So it's kind of funny, not funny, but it was just different, very different from anything else that any kind of murder, serial killer sort of story. So I enjoyed it. Another one, this was an audio book that I listened to. It was called Raised by a Serial Killer. Nothing to do with the other one. I mean, it didn't, I'm not like in a bend for serial killers. And I don't remember where I heard about this one. It was on my to be read list. And every now and then when I want an audiobook or something, I'll go to that list and I'll go see what the library has. And then there I go. So it was by April Balacio. And it's interesting. Her upbringing was really, really... I think of stories like The Glass Castle or that kind of thing, where her upbringing was just like, ugh. Her mother was very detached. I think the father was very controlling, and there were a whole bunch of kids, and they moved constantly, and they were dirt poor and all, you know, and what made her look back and think, I think there's something there. He was in prison at that point. She's an adult and had children, and he went to prison for something, and she went to the police and said, I think there's more to all these unsolved murders. So it was good. A whole lot of the book is about her upbringing. So like I said, The Glass Castle, and I'm trying to think of another one that was that kind of story, where you're just like absorbed by the upbringing. I enjoyed it anyway. And so I read that one, audiobook that one. Anyway, sorry about that little blip. Anyway, go back to what we're doing. My phone rang. It was nobody anybody wants to talk to. This one, All the Way Home. I talked about this one. I was currently reading this one at the last time we spoke, about a young man and his wife, and at that time they had an infant son. They bought an old neglected mansion. I mean, it was something else in its day. It was just so neglected, and he was just fascinated by it, could not let it go, the idea of it, in Akron, Ohio. So it's not all that far from where I'm from, and don't currently live, but still have family back there in that area. As they set out to try to make a home out of it. In fact, here's a little picture of the house. You know, when there's things like a floor plan for the house, you know, I flip back to that so many times. So here's the house after they got their hands on it, and it just had some unbelievably beautiful architectural features. So years, and I just felt like, well, we weren't that extreme. There were some parallels that I could relate to. I always wanted a big old house, and that's what we bought before we had our first daughter, was a big old house that had quite a history, and spent a fair number of years renovating it. So anyway, that's still a beautiful house. We just don't live there anymore. So, and then the same day I stopped into the library and found Too Old for This on the new bookshelf. I had been too old for this, the one where the woman's a serial killer. Um, Total fiction. I was on the waiting list for the audio version, I think, and I was like 8 or 10 weeks of waiting time ahead of me. And I just ran into the library one morning and it was on the news shelf because I think there was no chance of getting a book from the reserve, because there were so many people on the list. It's not uncommon for the libraries to keep the new books in-house for a while to allow the patrons of the library to read the book, have an opportunity to read the book before they start sending it out when people request it. So I found it, thought it was my lucky day, read it in just a couple days, enjoyed it very much. On the shelf at the same time, I found a Jenny Colgan book, The Secret Christmas Library, which I very much liked. At Christmas time, I kind of like some of these like cozy mystery type books, a little bit of romance, a little bit of mystery, what's going on. But I had never read anything quite with this premise where a woman found, she was hired at one point to find a old book. And so it's in a museum and she runs into somebody in the museum and meets him, and he ultimately hires her to come to his estate home and help him find a book. There's a clue, there's only like a poem riddle to find it. And coincidentally, the man also hires a young man to come also, who happens to be the main character's ex-boyfriend. So it was just, it's cute. It's very atmospheric. On a cold, snowy, rainy winter day, you could really get under a blanket and enjoy this book. I have another Jenny Colgan book that I haven't read yet. Again, a Christmas mystery kind of book. And it was already on my shelf, so I don't remember when I bought it or what. And I looked back through I keep Goodreads pretty religiously and couldn't find where I had read anything by her. So I don't know. The name, when I saw it at the library, caught my eye like, oh, I think I read something by her and it was good. So anyway, I would recommend that one if you enjoy that kind of Christmas feel-good sort of book. A little bit of, like everything, there's like a recipe that's followed in these kind of books. Some conflicts, some whatevers, some problems, that kind of thing. So that was a lot of books for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, maybe not, because that's 4. That's like one a week. I'm currently reading a biography. It's an audiobook biography of. Give me a minute. Let me find my Libby app. Before I even say anything and it's the wrong thing. Anderson Cooper reads a book called Vanderbilt. It's opening up the cover. The Rise and Fall of the American Dynasty. The Vanderbilts, which is very interesting. I'm enjoying it. And read by Anderson Cooper. He's got just a very nice listening voice. So that's an interesting one. And then my current read, I don't have it with me to tell you about. It's interesting. I bought it new from Amazon. So I was probably ordering something or two, and I went to look and see what was on my to be read list on Goodreads. Because sometimes I do that to see, I know, there's another book I read. At any rate, and I don't have any idea what made me want to read it. So let me see what it is. The Safe Keep by Yael van der Wooden. I have no idea. I think it's in the Netherlands. I have no idea who talked about it, what made me want to add it to my list. Enough, and then I bought it. It's very slow moving to start with. A very, very quirky young woman at like the year is 1961, lives in the home that allegedly is her family home, her mother's home, but the uncle, when she and her brothers were children, her uncle moved them into this house after their father had died. The mother wasn't allowed to cross the border, just children were, because it was World War II. And I don't know the story yet. Really, they moved in, and she didn't remember that they'd moved into the house fully furnished with all the things. And she's still living in this house as a 30-year-old woman. Her mother had passed away, and she's just obsessed with keeping everything pristine and exactly like her mother had it. And when she's kind of taken aback when she finds out the stuff was already there, because she has no memory of what transpired, and little memories start to come back in her mind. She remembers one time people pounding on the door while they were eating dinner, and their mother telling the kids to get upstairs, and the people were yelling about their stuff, which kind of gives me a hint as to how it is they're there. So I don't know if she travels down that road again in this story. Her brother's girlfriend is staying with her, much to her dismay, because she's so rigid and unbending and has feelings and thoughts about the world that are just so unusual. She's just so, I think, afraid of everything. She doesn't want to go to a restaurant she's never been to because it's a new place and a new crowd and new people in her own town. So it makes me think there's been some real trauma in her youth. She hints to being teased in high school and made fun of, but I'm still a little unclear as to why. So the brother's girlfriend is not afraid to speak up to her, so that it'll be interesting to see where this goes. So anyway, there was that, but that's my current read. A book I forgot to say that I read was, I'm sorry, making Goodreads pop up here, was called Revelation. And it's a memoir of deep family secrets, discovery, and identity. A Jewish man and his sister belonged to the same synagogue, and they, as an activity, a group activity, everybody sends in their DNA, and then somebody is going to come and talk to them about it. I think people want to see like where their Jewish roots are, and they discover that they are not full-blooded brother and sister. And so we spend some time going back and forth, to how it is they determine who is maybe the parent's full child or not. And there's a brother, so they get him to be tested, and it's very interesting. And then trying to discover what happened, and there is somebody who knows enough to lead them in a direction. And if you've been with me for long, I love anything to do with the whole DNA trail of discovering your family roots or a mystery like that. So that I very much enjoyed. Revelation by Richard Gary K, Kaye, and Annette Schwartz K, which is his wife. So it was a good read. I very much enjoyed that. So I did read a lot. I feel like I read a lot in October. Yeah, we'll see if November can bring the same kind of thing. I don't have it. November will be busy. I have a few odds and ends of things going on in November. And of course there's Thanksgiving, which we have not made any plans about yet. I mean, I'll cook dinner, whoever's coming comes, and that kind of thing. So yeah, other than that, I don't know if I have any unique special plans worth talking about. So I had to stop this and start this, so I don't know how long it is and can't really tell you. But I can tell you that I will be back in the early part of December, and we may talk about plans for the new year, or we may not. We may save that all for a video later in December and with a whip parade, because I have some thoughts, and I have more whips than I usually do. So there's that. Yay. Give you something to come back for. So I will see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate in the United States with us, and have a good fall.